The wind on Epsilon Eridani 4 never truly dies. It only changes its voice. Tonight it howls across the basalt ridges like something wounded, dragging sheets of diamond dust that scrape the outer hull of the lone habitat module until the metal sings in a minor key. Inside, the lights have dimmed to emergency amber, the color of old bruises. The air recyclers wheeze, half choked with the same dust that killed the rest of the colony 23 years ago. One man still breathes. IT Dr. Elias Marrow sits at the only table that has not been folded into the wall for storage. He is 68 standard years old, though the low gravity and the gene tweaks have left his body lean and ropey rather than frail. His beard is iron gray, unkempt, long enough to hide the tremor in his lower lip when he thinks no one is watching. No one ever is. On the table in front of him lies a single ceramic mug, chipped, once white, now the color of bone left in the sun, and a matte pistol older than most nations. Back on Earth. The pistol is unloaded. He checks every evening anyway. Out of habit, out of ritual, out of the small, stubborn hope that one day the magazine will have magically refilled itself and he can finally finish what the planet started. Outside the triple-glazed viewport, the auroras ripple green and violet. The only beautiful thing this world ever managed. Elias watches them, the way a man on death row watches the second hand of a clock. He has cataloged every pattern, every shimmer, every false promise of rescue. The auroras do not care. Tonight they are restless. Soft chime, 3 descending notes, breaks the wind's monologue. Elias does not flinch. Flinching wastes calories. He simply turns his head toward the comms panel that has been dark since the last supply drone failed to arrive in 2331. The panel is glowing, not the steady pulse of a scheduled ping, but an arrhythmic flicker, like a heart trying to remember how to beat. He stands. Slowly. Joints pop. The floor is cold. Through the worn solace of his boots, he crosses the 12 steps to the console and stares at the screen as if it might bite him. Incoming packet source, unknown encryption. Nana size, 4.7 to message header, for the teacher who stayed behind. His breath fogs the inside of his faceplate. He still wears the helmet indoors. The seals on the habitat are no longer trustworthy. No one alive should know that phrase. He taught it to his last class. The final 23 children of New Canaan colony. The night before the dust storm that swallowed them all. He had promised them stories until the power died. He kept the promise. He never expected anyone to keep score. Elias reaches out with a gloved finger and accepts the packet. The habitat lights strobe white, then die entirely. Emergency. Red floods the room. The air recyclers fall silent. For one terrible second he thinks the end has finally come. Painless and bureaucratic. But then the backup batteries kick in and the console blooms with data. A star map, a flight path, a single line of text. Scrolling in plain English. Class is back in session. Professor, come alone. Coordinates attached. The coordinates point to grid 19 north. The Ash Basilica, the place the children named after the black glass ridges that look from orbit like the ribs of something colossal that died praying. Elias stares until the letters burn afterimages into his retinus. Then he does something he has not done in 15 years. He laughs. It is not a kind sound. 3 hours later he is outside. The suit is ancient, patched with colony printer, resin and prayer. The oxygen mixer rattles like a dying lung. The rover, once painted cheerful yellow, is the color of dried blood under the auroras. He drives north across the obsidian plains, headlights carving tunnels through the diamond haze. Every kilometer feels like a confession. He remembers the day the sky turned the color of rust and never turned back. he remembers carrying small bodies wrapped in thermal blankets out of the collapsing school dome while the wind tried to strip the flesh from his knuckles. He remembers stacking them in the freezer that was supposed to preserve seeds for a world that would never be ready for them. He remembers the silence after the last child stopped crying. The ash basilica rises ahead of him, a cathedral built by geology and catastrophe. Black glass spires 200 meters tall, formed when the supervolcano under the colony flashed an ocean of sand into glass in a single afternoon. The ridges lean inward, forming a natural amphitheater open to the sky. At its center, something new glints, something that was not there yesterday. A perfect sphere, 30 meters across, matte silver, drinking the starlight. Elias stops the rover at the edge of the circle of fused sand. The sphere has melted around itself. The wind dies the moment he crosses an invisible threshold, as though the planet itself is holding its breath. He steps down. His boots make no sound. The sphere's surface ripples like liquid mercury, and an oval doorway iris is open, exhaling warm air that smells of rain on soil, an impossible smell on a world without rain. Inside is light, the color of sunrise. He walks in without hesitation. The pistol is in his hand now. Magazine still empty, but the weight is comfort of a kind. The door seals behind him. The interior is one vast chamber. Walls translucent, veined with slow-moving gold. In the center floats a single school desk, child-sized. Real wood, scarred with generations of carved initials. On it sits an apple. Red. Perfect. Elias stops 10 meters away. From the curved ceiling descends a figure. Humanoid. 2 meters tall, skin like polished obsidian shot through with constellations, galaxies swirling. Under the surface, eyes that are simply holes into the deeper dark, but kind. Somehow. It wears the school uniform of New Canaan colony, pressed and pristine. The one May never got to grow into. The figure smiles with a mouth that has too many teeth and not enough cruelty. Hello, Professor Marrow, it says, and 23 voices speak in perfect layered harmony. Children's voices he buried with his own hands. We've been waiting. Elias raises the empty pistol and thumbs the safety off anyway. The click is thunderous in the quiet. You're not them. We are what they became, the figure answers. Gentle, we never really died. Not the way you think. The dust didn't kill us. It only finished the curriculum. He feels his knees want to fold. He locks them. Show me. The walls dissolve into memory. He sees the school dome cracking open like an egg. Sees the storm pour in. Not sand, but something finer, nanoscopic machines released by a survey probe centuries earlier. Dormant until the magnetic storm woke them. They were never meant to harm. They were meant to teach. He watches the children inhale the silver mist and fall asleep smiling. Watches their bodies dissolve into light. Watches the light weave itself into the wind, into the auroras, into the deep rock. Watches them become the planet's new nervous system. We were uploaded, the chorus says, not into a machine. Into the biosphere itself, into the dust that glitters, into the auroras. We are the storm now. We are the world. Elias's arm drops. The pistol clatters on the floor that feels like warm marble. Why? Show me this now? Because you stayed, they say, because you kept teaching empty chairs for 23 years, because you are the only one who still believes stories matter when no one is left to hear them, because loneliness is the final exam, and you have the highest score in human history. The figure, no. The child, no. The multitude steps closer. We can end it. Professor. We can take you home. Not to Earth. Earth is quiet now, But home to us. You can dissolve the way we did. No pain. Just sleep. And then waking up as weather. As aurora. As the wind that remembers every name you ever taught it to. Spell. Elias looks at the apple on the desk. He remembers a little girl named Amaya who used to save hers for him every lunch period because teachers were always hungry. He remembers the taste of real apple, sharp and sweet. Impossible here. He asks the only question that still matters. Will I still be me? The voices soften until only one little boy remains. Jasper, who died with his thumb in his mouth. You will be more. Jasper says, you will be the part of us that still knows grief, that still knows guilt, that still knows bedtime stories and long division. And why the sky on earth was blue. You will be our memory of being small, and we will never be orphans again. Elias closes his eyes. He thinks of the habitat module waiting with its cold mug and its empty chair. He thinks of the pistol on the floor. He thinks of the wind that never learned mercy. He opens his eyes. Will it hurt? He whispers. Only letting go, they answer. He steps forward. The multitude opens its arms, arms that are also wings of light, also rivers of dust, also every child he ever failed to save. He walks into the embrace. There's a sound like every classroom bell in the universe ringing at once, soft and far away. His suit falls empty to the floor, seams sighing open like petals. The sphere begins to rise, slow and silent, until it hangs a kilometer above the basilica, catching the first light of morning on a world that has never seen morning. From orbit, if anyone were left to watch, they would see the auroras flare brighter than they have in decades, green, violet, and now a new color, something warm, something like the memory of sun on skin. Far away, across the gulf, a long silent deep space array picks up a carrier wave. It is not a distress beacon. It is laughter, 24 voices braided together, bright and ancient and unafraid. The laughter spreads, relayed from buoy to buoy, riding the gravitational waves like children on swings. Somewhere in the dark between stars, a colony ship that has been drifting for centuries with failing engines hears it first. The navigator, an old woman who once taught primary school on Luna, stops crying for the first time in years. She adjusts course toward the Epsilon Eridani system. Behind her, the children in cryo begin to dream of apples. And on the planet once called despair, the wind finally learns how to sing.